So hey guys, I guess today I'm going to show you how I usually create my art. So to start, I usually start with square or A4 sizes, as you can see here. But since I'm only doing a portrait, I chose square. I start with a sketch where I set my background to light gray and use the Procreate pencil in brownish red color. In times when my creative juices are strong, I just sketch what pops in my mind with no reference whatsoever. But of course, my favorite subjects are handsome, sleep-deprived, dark, brooding men who are not totally inspired by my husbando, Mr. Darcy. I find that making my sketch resemble the final drawing is easier than the chaotic rough sketch because 1. I'm not a monster, and 2. So that I don't make a lot of adjustments later on. So here's my hot daddy. Now I start with my skin coloring. I set a second layer and used my obscure skin palette, as you can see here. So using the selection tool set in color fill, I trace around the face to slap some color in. He's looking a little bit rosy today, so I adjusted it a bit so he doesn't look like he just embarrassed himself. Now I start shading the entire face using my current favorite brush, the Nico Rule. So I usually use the round brush or the medium hard airbrush, but Nico Rule brush has crisper edges and some texture. Layering the skin colors has always been the bane of my existence, and it's only been recently that I started to understand its basic concept. But I, by no means, fully know what the hell I'm doing. Since my neurons for the life of them cannot process the logic behind color theory, please don't be alarmed why my color choices are questionable, because I just trust my equally questionable creative intuition. I start with the dark shadows in the jaw, eye sockets, necks, and forehead. I layer in the light areas on the nose bridge, cheekbones, chin, and forehead. For this to look decent, you do have to have an inkling about your light source for you to know where to place the shadows and highlights. I myself still struggle with this godforsaken technique, so we have no choice but to practice. Since my characters all have one common personality, and that being having chronic sleep deprivation, I have no shame putting eye bags on them because I myself have prominent ones. I then fill in the dead eyes and sad lips, and once I lay down the rough coloring, I like to lower the opacity of my sketch layer and set in luminosity. Since blue eyes make a hot boy to even a hotter man, I give him blue irises just because. Throughout the process, as I feel in other parts, I always go back and adjust the shadows and highlights from time to time, just like I'm doing here. Since the eyes are the windows of the soul, I ensure that his eyes achieve maximum sexiness, expression, and exhaustion. I hate that men have longer lashes than I do, so I'm giving him full lashes, of course. I also define the eyebrows to achieve his brooding look. Make sure to highlight the waterline and irises, as this brings the eyes to life, no matter how lifeless the overall character is. I then proceed to the hair, and my fave style for my men, not that I have any, is dark color, disheveled but swept back style that drapes just at the nape of their neck. Again, totally not inspired by Mr. Darcy. Still using the Nico Rule brush, I lay down the base color. I manually stroke the color rather than using the selection tool and color fill, since this way I can control the direction and overall shape of the hair better. I then use lighter shades to start highlighting the hair sections, again taking note of the light source. I always like to draw stray hairs using the 6B pencil to achieve that sexy disheveled look. Once I'm barely satisfied with the hair, I go back to the whole face and further define other anatomical parts like darkening the shadows and brightening the highlights, switching between the 6B pencil and Nico Rule brush. Of course, I like dimples in my man, so I drew him dimples just to make him look endearing. So this is basically the finished look. Just look at this masterpiece of my ideal man, which is, like always, fictional. If I'm feeling extra moody, I like to add dramatic lighting, which I've only learned recently. Create another layer above and use any dark color, preferably not black, and fill it in. Select the clipping mask and set it in multiply and adjust the opacity, and boom, you got that gorgeous mysterious vibe. In that same layer, I erase some of the color in areas where the light source hits the part of the face, and to maximize the drama, I use a light brush to give the highlighted areas a glowing look. And would you look at that, don't you want to just hug him and whisper, "I can fix you"? Anyway, that's 2 hours worth of my precious time, and I hope this gave a vague appreciation about art in general. So I guess that's a bye. Bye guys.